Opposing the dollar entails directly opposing the United States of America, a nuclear powerhouse and superpower. Saudi Arabia prospered because Saddam Hussein refused to use the dollar. But this resulted in Hussein's downfall and U.S. sanctions against Iran, which set off a civil war and Gaddafi's ouster. Russia and other nations have been impacted by the U.S.'s arbitrary actions, which makes it challenging for anyone to interact with the U.S. The dollar's globalization is driven by the desire of other countries to make it the global currency, regardless of the size of the superpower. Understanding the economics of the U.S. dollar can help determine relations between countries. In the past, people used barter systems to exchange goods and services, but had problems due to spoilage. To address this, people started dealing in valuable metals like gold, silver, and copper. Lydia created gold and silver coins to make trade easier, but they were difficult to manage and transport. In 1154, Wan Yanlian in China implemented an organized system by creating banks for gold exchange. Marco Polo introduced the pound sterling in Europe, paving the way for modern currency systems and the modern halal work. In the 19th century, the UK, which produced the most resources, had more gold reserves and a larger currency, the pound sterling. This led to 60% of global trade being in pound sterling, with some countries opting for the paper currency. However, in 1913, the UK's debt of £7.8 billion due to war and weapons led to the exhaustion of gold reserves. As a result, the UK had to import resources from other countries instead of supplying them. During the First World War, the US initially remained neutral, selling weapons and increasing gold reserves. However, during the Second World War, the US became the largest exporter, outsourcing services from India, particularly in the tech sector. This led to the US collecting 70% of the world's gold, with 22,000 tons of gold with the US. The pound sterling was replaced by the US dollar, and Germany destroyed the UK's dominant currency by creating fake notes and putting them on the market. This led to a loss of faith in the UK's currency and the US dollar. The Second World War ended with the US in good condition, while the rest of the world was destroyed. The US had more money and gold, but European countries and Japan faced severe food, grain, and fuel shortages after the war. In 1944, 700 representatives from 44 countries gathered at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New York, to find a solution to the global financial crisis. The U.S. believed that the collapse of the economy and the lack of gold in other countries led to a financial crisis. The U.S. proposed that all deals should be made in U.S. dollars, with a pledge to buy an ounce of gold for $35. This would make the U.S. dollar backed by gold. The meeting also established the World Bank and IMF International Monetary Fund, providing loans to countries ruined in war. The U.S. also created the Marshall Plan, which provided $17.3 billion in loans to Europe. Today, countries issue bonds denominated in U.S. dollars, with repayments in dollars only. The U.S. aimed to use the U.S. dollar as the sole currency, as it had numerous advantages. All countries agreed that they could gradually rebuild themselves and collect gold to expand their countries. Gold production was primarily in South Africa and the Soviet Union, which had bad relations with other European countries. They silently accepted U.S. loan methods and helped rebuild Europe. Even if other countries wanted not to accept U.S. words, they had no special option. For example, Japan gave Sri Lanka its currency, the yen, to gain gold in exchange for the U.S. dollar. This led to the U.S. dollar becoming a compulsion for other countries, from loans to trade. The U.S. partnered with European companies in oil extraction and trading, allowing Arab countries to access oil without the necessary technology. This led to the development of a large oil field in Saudi Arabia, resulting in significant profits. During World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement convinced Saudi Arabia to support oil extraction and security, despite concerns about security. Oil was the most powerful product of the modern economy. And after the Saudi deal, other oil countries also started accepting oil in U.S. dollars. The U.S. then printed more currency than gold, leading to more U.S. dollars floating in the international market. However, there was little possibility of people from all countries coming together to convert U.S. dollars into gold. If the price of gold increased outside the gold market, the U.S. would offer 28 grams of gold in exchange for $1. The U.S. faced a dilemma in the gold market, as it had to maintain stable prices around the U.S. dollar to avoid trouble. To keep the market stable, The U.S. created a plan involving 8 countries who had taken debt from the U.S. and created a pool of gold. These countries manipulated the demand and supply of the world's largest gold market, selling gold if demand increased and buying gold if demand decreased. However, by 1967, the U.S. had created a pool of gold, leading to frustration and the closure of the London Gold Exchange market. This led to a decrease in the U.S. gold reserve and a deteriorating gold reserve. President Richard Nixon bullied other countries to convert dollars into gold, leading to incidents like the London market closure. This led to the U.S. deciding to convert the U.S. dollar into gold, causing international speculation to rise. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon issued Executive Order No. 11,615 stating that gold exchange for the dollar would cease as of today. The Nixon shock was a global event, where trades and debts were conducted in dollars, and oil was sold in dollars. Countries struggled to convert the dollar into gold, leading to the creation of the petrodollar. The U.S. offered to keep selling oil in dollars, and the dollars earned from selling oil, allowing them to invest in U.S. bonds and companies. This decision was a victory for the U.S., as other countries would have to maintain the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar would remain relevant in the market. Some Arab leaders protested against the decision to sell oil only in dollars, but the U.S., being its military superpower, silenced these voices. In 2000, Iraq's President Saddam Hussein refused to use dollars and started selling oil in euros, collecting 26 billion euros in exchange for 3.3 billion barrels of oil. This led to his overthrow and the start of a civil war in Libya, which was considered a challenge for the U.S. dollar. In December 2015, emails from Hillary Clinton's private email server were leaked, revealing that Gaddafi was using the euro instead of the U.S. dollar. Iran, with 126 billion barrels of oil and the world's second-largest natural reserve, was asked to use the euro due to 45% of their trade with European countries. Iran agreed to accept the euro, but the plan was stopped due to U.S. sanctions on Iran. The U.S. also used the SWIFT network to advance the dollar. SWIFT is a secure automated messaging system that tells international banks which countries to transfer money to. If a country falls out of SWIFT, it will be unable to do international transactions, foreign funding, import-exports, and even YouTube making money. Removing a country from SWIFT is like dropping a financial nuclear bomb, and the complete control of the system is indirectly held by the U.S. The network has around 2,400 shareholders and 25 boards of directors, including members from Belgium, Canada, France, and Germany. The U.S. has the power to remove any country from its system, such as Russia and Iran, overnight, causing economic collapse. This is due to the U.S. weaponization of the dollar, which causes more damage than military power. The U.S. imposes sanctions in 2 ways. Primary sanctions, where it refuses its companies, institutions, and citizens to do business with a country, and secondary sanctions, where anyone who trades with the country is also sanctioned. This leads to the country being isolated from international trade and funding stops. For example, Iran's sanctions on Iran led to India being unable to buy oil from Iran, a situation similar to the U.S. imposed sanctions on Iran. The U.S. sanctions have a significant impact on countries like India, as they have no dependency on rupees in the global market and do not have a system like SWIFT network. The U.S. sanctions have the highest impact on countries like India, as they have no system like SWIFT network and are moving slowly. The U.S. sanctions on Russia have caused significant economic and military problems, with countries like India still buying oil from Russia. The U.S.'s economic power, which is more than its military power, creates problems and weakens if someone tries to weaken it. The SWIFT ban imposed by Biden on Russia during the Ukraine war has led to other countries seeking alternatives to the U.S. dollar. Countries like China, Russia, Argentina, Brazil, and South Africa are trying to reduce their dependence on the dollar through de-dollarization, which involves selling U.S. bonds and using local currencies. However, experts believe it is not possible to outcast the U.S. in this manner. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have created a shared currency called the yuan, which could become an alternative to the dollar and give competition to the U.S. dollar. So guys, this is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then do like, share, and subscribe the channel BizFlix Media. Do let me know your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. See you in the next video.